My research interests in the area of exercise science. I use the applications of exercise medicine for the prevention and management of cancer and treatment side effects. And this is a quite important area and fits very well some of the national priorities. If you think that 1 in 2 Australians will have cancer by the age of 85 years of age, survival for cancer has improved 30% in the past 2 decades. So we have a lot of cancer survivors out there in the community. The cancer costs approximately, it's around $3.8 billion in direct health system costs, which represents around 7%, which is very significant. And 60% of cancer patients will survive more than 5 years after their diagnosis. So what we do then, with improved prognosis for cancer, earlier detection and new treatments led to a number of new challenges in terms of addressing the needs of these cancer survivors. Our work in exercise science is exceptionally important because we're addressing this very large group of cancer survivors out in the community, reducing the risk of developing additional issues in terms of chronic disease and even survival of their cancer. So this is very briefly what we do. Now, in terms of progressing research career, I think establishing and maintaining a track record is critical, and Ken Grant spoke about this issue. Not just establishing a track record, but also maintaining so you can keep and competitive in national and state schemes. And I would think, in my mind, it's very clear how to establish a research track record. It's with publications, and my focus is on quality publications. I'll give you some examples of my journey and how one single paper made a huge difference in my career. Research collaborations are certainly critical, particularly in complementing areas, different disciplines. Not just you as a researcher, but building research track records with colleagues, because that's how your grant will be assessed in the future. Not just you or A or B or C, but how A, B, and C are working together and how they're producing together. And research grants, certainly. And there's probably a natural progression of getting internal grants to external industry, state, build into national grants. So the combination of those 3 factors gets the team more competitive in national grant schemes. There's no other way around. So you gotta be performing extremely high to get into the national schemes. Now, with my experience, I was very fortunate and lucky to be working with 4 outstanding mentors. The first one, Professor Robert Newton, which was my PhD supervisor. By the way, my PhD was done at ECU, and so I'm an ECU researcher since my PhD. So Rob is an international leader in exercise science and chronic disease. Professor Danny Stave, exercise science and aging. Professor Linda Christensen, which is a VC from a different university now. Nursing, cancer, and clinical research background. And Professor Nigel Spry in oncology. A lot of experience in running national multi-center clinical trials. So I was very lucky to be able to work with those 4 professors. A lot of experience. And they did approach a lot of the issues that we face normally, reviewing a paper or putting a rebuttal together for a grant. They all have different perspectives. So again, very lucky to be able to understand how differently they work and pull this to my own benefit. Merging all those disciplines together, really, we're able to put something which is exercise science plus cancer oncology, and that's what we call now exercise oncology, and we're doing extremely well here at ECU. Now, the mentorship and the interaction that I had with my mentors led to very, very productive collaborations with different colleagues around different universities. For instance, Nigel Spry introduced me to Frank Gardner, as well as Rob Newton. Frank Gardner introduced me to Suzanne Chambers. David Joseph, which has been the director of Sir Charles Gardner Hospital Cancer Division for 10 years, introduced me to Jim Dillon in Newcastle, who introduced me to David Lamb in New Zealand. So this is actually a research team now. We're all working together for probably 7 years. So we have some very experienced professors. Those that are in other universities are adjunct professors of ECU, Health and Wellness Institute. And we also have an exceptionally strong team of early mid-career researchers. Dr. Prue Comey, Caroline McIntyre, Michael Baker, and Anthony Gunno. So in other way, we're building a research team track record, not an individual track record. Certainly everybody benefits. So we have expertise in exercise science, oncology, urology, psycho-oncology, and epidemiology. Now, very briefly, I'll talk with you about one single publication in my career, which I believe made a very big difference. Why? This was a research paper or a narrative review that was published in a leading international journal of oncology. The impact factor, for those that are familiar with impact factor, is 18.728, which is ranked as the top 1% of all science journals. And this particular paper has been cited over 260 times. At the time, we were just initiating this work in exercise and cancer at ECU, and we had no original research data. So we thought about putting a review paper together, and we did. This was a narrative review without original research data that we provided, in a way, some new concepts around resistance training in cancer. So this paper made a huge difference in my career, not in terms of quantity of papers, the quality of the publication. This journal is known by clinicians as the Blue Journal. So when I was to go and talk to clinicians in hospitals, they were all, this is Daniel from ECU, and he's the one that has published in the Blue Journal. So that's how I was able to interact with clinicians and build these very solid relationships that we have today. And I'll show you how this paper influenced, very briefly, my career. So the Blue paper led to the opportunity to interact with clinicians, led to an early career external competitive grant with the Cancer Council of WA, led to very close relationships with senior clinicians, and I have the asterisks here because the paper was always mentioned when I was interacting with clinicians, or if it was a rebuttal for a grant, as an example. Also led to a state competitive grant with the Cancer Council of WA. We're building a team, we have clinicians as part of our team, which also builds to interstate national collaborators. That led to a national competitive grant, Category 1 with Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. We had research data. We published in the Blue Journal again with an RCT with original research data, which was very important for our research team. Led to interstate collaborators, led to a national competitive grant, NHMRC and Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia in the same year. Led to invitation to be part of national and international writing committees, including the American College of Sports Medicine, which is a very prestigious and peak exercise science organization in the world, which led to more national competitive grants, Cancer Australia and Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. In 7 years, a total of 27 grants, including 8 Category 1 research grants, value of $5.2 million. Now, grant review panel, I had the opportunity to spend my 4 past years in 6 panels, including 2 from the NHMRC national schemes and 4 with the Cancer Council of Western Australia, which is also a very competitive scheme. Normally, when the grants are funded by NHMRC has quality, goes to the Cancer Council panel. So with the Cancer Council panel, we're really ranking 5 universities doing cancer research. Apart from very high scientific quality, very high significance and innovation of the project, track record, including quality publications, I believe, and that's what I have seen in those 6 panels, quality publications helps you cross the line to get your grant funded or not funded. You also rely on the spokesperson who is handling your grant, which makes a huge difference. And that's sort of luck of the draw. You never know who is responsible for your grant. So you probably want to give the spokesperson's tools to defend your grant around the table. But it's certainly a very difficult game. And some final considerations, I think exploring areas that are understudied. In our example, we ended up merging exercise science with urology with oncology, answering questions with practical and clinical implications that are likely to change practice and influence future policies, research that has relevance, areas that have impact around national priorities, and early mentorship is certainly very important. And as I said, I was very lucky to be able to work with very experienced researchers early in my career. And mentors are likely to have more experience because they're actually playing the game for a longer period of time. And as I said, I'm very proud to be an ECU researcher. My bachelor degree was done in Brazil, my master's at the University of Queensland, and I've been at ECU since 2004 now. And my career was built at this university, so I'm very proud to be an ECU researcher. And I welcome you to visit the institute to talk about research.